So let's talk about your email with your business because you have all these amazingly unique integration of your skills as an entrepreneur. And how does email marketing fit into that for you?
It became clear within the last like 6 to 8 months that I did not have the capacity to post on social media every day. I was like struggling to be like, all right, what do I do? Take a picture of myself? What do I do? Create like a how to? What do I do? And I just was like, and then with the algorithm, I was like, this is too much. I just can't do it, but I want to engage with people. And I had been thinking I wanted to create like a private space, like like a Patreon kind of space or a Google Classroom where like I could invite people in. But I was like, if I'm not posting regularly, how are people going to know like what I have to offer and like then be able to invite them into these spaces? So it just kind of made sense that I had to talk to people about what I was doing, but I didn't quite know how to do that. I was thinking I'll do IG lives, I'll do posts of my videos for my performances and stuff. And it was actually a mentor of mine who was on an email list that mentioned a podcast that you were on that got me thinking. Like, I listened to the podcast and it was about how you were a former educator and how you moved into email copyright coaching. And I went to your website and I was like, you know what? Like, the fact that she also comes from a classroom background, she's, working with, mostly female entrepreneurs to help them with empowerment and everything. I was like, I feel like there's some synergy here. And then we talked, and I remember in our first session, you like led me through this whole meditation because I was having this like just very like ego, like I felt it right here that like my ego was like don't do this. And you were like, okay, let's work through that. Like, what could you send there? Like, what would it need to hear? And I was like, oh, okay, this person like gets me. This person will be able to support me to be able to figure out how to communicate what I want to communicate so that I can pull people into a space where they know it's okay to engage with themselves and laugh and everything. And so I remember we met and I was like, you were like, okay, so, you willing to sign up? And I was like, well, yes, but I also need to like pause because I know that like I tend to jump very headfirst into things. I get very inspired and then I lose stamina after a while. So I was like, I need to think about this and make sure that I can be in it for the long haul. And we've worked together over the last 3 months where, after a while, I was like, I think I need to start meeting every other week. And you were like, way to honor your capacity. And I was like, because I was like, I can't write an email every week. And you were like, you don't have to. Like, I write it every 3 weeks. And so to have that permissioning and have it coming from someone who's just been in a similar position that I have was super, super helpful to kind of get to this place where I was like, oh, yeah, I have a lot to say. I have a space where I can say it, and I have someone who can support me in figuring out how to like deliver it in a way that's going to land with my audience so that way they can have something actionable or tangible to work with after, reading these missives that I write.
Yeah, I feel like yes, as former teachers coming from like a system that is really all about burnout, um, to be able to unplug from that and do it on our own terms. I feel like that's been a big theme for you is, and that was one of the first things that you had said when we first met to do our vision setting for the copywriting coaching. And so the program is 3 months and each session is 60 minutes. The first one is 90 minutes. So we can really dig into the vision. And that was one thing you had said is, I want to do this on my own terms. I don't want to be doing something just because I feel like I have to do it or need to do it. And I was like, yes, let's do this. We can totally do that. It's absolutely I feel like the same for any marketing, like social media. You were talking about social media marketing, same thing, email marketing, social media marketing, any whatever marketing you're doing, you know, I think it's so important to do it on your own terms. And there are no need tos, have tos, should tos, should tos. No, that doesn't make any sense. Should have tos. and really making sure it aligns with your values, it aligns with your business, your services, your audience, and what is bringing you joy. And I feel like, for me, like writing emails to me, it's like every time I write to my email list, it's just, I have so much fun with it. It just brings me joy. It's fun to do for me. And that's what I want to bring out for all the people that I coach is like, I want it to feel joyful. It should be, it needs to be something that you sit down and you're like, yeah, I want to do this because you see like what the purpose is to what you're doing. And that's kind of what you're talking about. Like, okay, this is the purpose. This is why I want to connect with my email list more. So moving into the writing or the copywriting piece, like how did you feel about your copy or your writing in general before the coaching program? And how have things changed for you since we've worked together?
I loved writing. I've always loved writing, and I have also often had blocks around writing. So when I thought about what an email list would do for me, I initially was like, well, it's going to be very formulaic, and I'll do this, and then I'll do this, and then I'll do this. And what has opened up for me over the last 3 months is that, like, there are no rules. Like, I can write about whatever I want. Like, I'm working on the email that is hopefully going to come out later this week, that reflects on this improvised musical I did last week. And I'm weaving in the first 7 cards of the major arcana, like with the storyline that we came up with on the fly, which was saving the last Peruvian salamander from extinction so that someone could live their dream of having a 3 lizard tribute band to Destiny's Child. Like, I can't make this up. This is just what happened, right? And I remember writing, like starting to write it and be like, this is going to be so like out there and no one's going to figure it out. And then you were giving me feedback and you were like, I'm laughing, I'm like joyful. And I have like clips of the different things that I'm talking about. And I'm just like excited to kind of bring people into my world where I'm like, I don't have to write about what anyone else is writing about. I don't have to follow like a specific prescription. Like you've given suggestions of like, connection emails versus value emails versus promotional emails, which has helped me situate like, oh, I can add this, that, or the other thing. But really, it's allowed me to like find my voice and find like the unique perspective that I bring into the world, which is that I will often take like 3 completely seemingly unrelated things and I will figure out a way to triangulate them into something funny and interesting and moving. And that has been like just it's helped me grow. It's helped me, see and develop my voice in a way that I don't think I would have if I had just tried to write emails like by myself.
Yeah, and I feel like kind of what you're talking about with like connecting the dots is all about the storytelling piece too. Like that's the biggest thing I feel like for emails is generally speaking, I feel like a lot of entrepreneurs might use it just to like to sell, and it just feels like really pushy and just they're not respecting the people on the other side of their email list. They're just like, this is my stuff that I have, you gotta buy it now, and there's a lot of urgency around that. And I feel like storytelling is such like a human thing where we can connect with each other, and the art of the storytelling through email, or it could be social media or blogs, is that you're trying to connect like, okay, what does the audience need to hear? What story can I bring in to connect? And I love how you're bringing in, what was that, the 3 lizards and Destiny's Child.
Yeah, because this is what happens in improv comedy is that you're just pulling from literally what's right in front of you. And in my recovering perfectionism from the education system where like you had to have your lesson plan with this, that, and that, like it was all formulaic, is that I'm realizing like the messy and the more imperfect, like the more people resonate with it because they're like, oh, I see myself in that. Like, I'm not a polished, finished product. Like, I'm messy too. And so I can watch something unfolding in real time that is messy, that is fun, that is ridiculous, and I can just be in the moment and not sit there and critique, like, well, if they had done this or they should have done that. And I was doing that a lot with my writing, with like, it has to be perfect. And I have now realized that like I can just put these pieces together and I can offer them to other people. And if they like it, they can laugh at it. And if they don't have to. Like,
Right.
totally fine. I'd rather be with the people who feel it than have people just stick around because they feel like they need to buy
Yeah,
something.
that's totally their choice. They can pick it up or they can leave it. And I think that just brought up, something that you had said during the coaching sessions was like, oh, I don't want to make the emails too long. And then realizing like you can give yourself this space to take up space. Sorry, you can take up space, and it can be, I feel like a lot of people are like, oh, the emails have to be short. People are busy, they don't have time for emails. But what I say is it can be as short and long as you want. It just needs to be compelling. And if it's resonating with people who are reading it, if it's super long, that's fine. They'll read it because they are finding value from it. And so these are all just things that, people don't realize, like, oh, okay, I can write long emails. I don't have to write every day. I don't have to write to my email list every day or every week. It can be on my own terms. And I feel like that's something that um that has been a theme there too. And also with like what you're talking about with the structure, and like having some structure around what type of emails to write, but then having the freedom within that to write how you want to express it. So thank you so much for sharing that. Did you have any hesitations, or what hesitations did you have about working with me? I think you had mentioned a little bit about that before.
Just at the beginning, with knowing that I could dive in head first without actually like considering my capacity and resourcing and everything. Um, I am also recovering from, scarcity mindset and urgency culture and everything. So there was a sense of like, well, if I don't start right now, I'll never start. And you gave me the option. You're like, oh yeah, like if you do it within a week or so, like you'll pay this price. If you do it afterwards, it's just going to be a different price. Like, no big deal. And I gave myself, I think, about 24 hours, and I looked at my like calendar and I looked at like, okay, I can commit to this once a week. Um, and then we realized that it would go like to the end of 2022. And I was like, oh, that would feel really good to like have done this 3 months, together, and then start 2023 strong. And then I decided to, re-up with you because I was like, this is really working for me to kind of have the accountability, the thought partner, the guidance that you provide, that just the hesitations were on my own end. Like, they had to do with like my own ideas around scarcity and urgency. And but I had, very from the beginning been like, Joanne and I like click. Like, there's something here that definitely works, and I can see this being a really, just fruitful and positive relationship, which is why I decided to re-up.
It's been a very wonderful journey, and I'm so honored to be in the journey with you with your emails. But no, I definitely feel like, I like it for people to make an informed decision about, working with someone. And at least for me, I like to sleep on it too. I don't like making that decision right away. If someone's like, oh, you need to make the decision right now, in order to work with me, then it's like, no, I can't do that then, because I like to have that processing time, because, the shiny object syndrome can happen. You just sleeping on it really does help. Just kind of like clear up, okay, where am I going? Is this something that's really going to work? So yes, I'm so glad we are working in 2023 for another 3 months. So let me see how we're doing on time here. We are definitely over time. Um, and let me just, sorry, I'm gonna look at my notes really quick. I feel like the other questions that I had, you kind of had already, we kind of like wove into our conversation already. I'm going to skip the next question because I feel like that one already got covered. So this is our last question, and then we're going to wrap up for our live. So what's the most important thing that people should know when they're considering investing in a one-to-one email copywriting coaching program?
Hmm. People should know themselves because it's easy to go into a program and expect some kind of outcome, like at the end of this program, I can guarantee you'll have X number of followers. Um, yeah, like, and if you're outcome oriented, you're not going to have the right motivation to actually like get to that. Like no one can guarantee any sort of results. So joining any sort of a program that is working within your capacity to write, to trust yourself, to like share yourself, it's really important that you know yourself first, because if the motivation is financial gain, follower gain, conversion rate to clients, like that, you're probably going to miss by a long shot if you don't actually know your like reasons behind it. So to have gone through like our first visioning session, and then we just did a second one today for this next 3 months, that is so helpful to start like from a baseline of like, what do I envision with a magic wand? What could get in the way of that? What, do you want from this essentially? And then figuring out from that, it's like that backwards thinking we do as a teacher all the time, like then how can we break this into manageable steps to be able to achieve, even part of that, right? It doesn't have to be everything, but if you're going at it with a clear vision of what you're bringing to the table and not what you're receiving from it, I think that's the most important thing to consider before investing in a program.
Yeah, that's really well said. I love the way you said that. Yeah, I would say, this one-to-one email copywriting coaching program that I have, has the 5 parts with the vision that we already mentioned, the action steps, the upskilling. So really upskilling on the copywriting piece, and then releasing any inner emotional blockages around writing, and then working on your physical environment to help with the flow of writing. Like that is like the it's like the framework, but then within that it can really go where you need it to go. So I feel like you saying like knowing yourself is really good advice on if someone is ready to invest in this kind of program or not. Because if you are knowing like where you're going and what you're wanting to do, then this coaching program is really super customizable to exactly what you need in it. So thank you so much for sharing that advice. So if you are joining us right now, thank you for joining us at the end. We are just about to wrap up. Thank you so much, Carrie, for being here and telling us a little bit more about the tarot reading and about you. And if anyone here listening live or listening to the replay, if you're interested in my one-to-one email copywriting coaching program, you can DM me on Instagram at this account, Desk Plant Creatives. And how can people get connected with you, Carrie?
You can also find me on Instagram, Facebook. I'm on Twitter, but not really, and LinkedIn. And then my website is getting a little bit of a makeover in the next week or so. I do have a lead magnet there. You can get on my email list. Um, and if you're in the Sacramento or Northern California region, you can see me in person. I really love sort of the one-to-one, in-person connection that I make with people, but I find that we are able to do that online really, really nicely. In fact, the last card that just came out, we can end on this, is the Visionary, which is number 5 in the major arcana. And this is literally all about accessing the inner teacher. So the teacher within that guides us. Our third eye wisdom is what we are using to see our way through, as opposed to anything that is kind of bogging us down from our life's true purpose. So yeah, I've really been so appreciative of Joanne and everything that you've done for me and helping me to kind of find my voice and everything. And I would recommend working with you, to anyone. So
Thank you so much, Carrie. Okay, before we go, because you mentioned your lead magnet, tell us what is the lead magnet?
Lead magnet is a bit of a dipping your toes in the water of the tarot and the coaching that I like to do, which has to do with envisioning, what you want for yourself, seeing those blocks that are possible, and then like potentially taking one tiny step towards what you most want. So it is an invitation to a private Google Classroom space where you have your own like you have your own assignment that you get to do, and you kind of can fill out different things. There's journaling prompts, there's feeling prompts, and there's a little bit of information about the tarot. And then if you are interested in submitting that, then I will give you feedback and invite you to engage with me with further coaching or a tarot reading. So it's super fun, it's whimsical, it's a little different than anything I've ever seen as a lead magnet. And I would encourage people to join.
I totally agree. It's very unique, and I feel like it totally fits you and your business as empowering educator. So definitely, if you are feeling the vibe here, join Carrie's email list because her emails will make you laugh. I can personally say that, and really go deep at the same time too. It's just, yeah, it has a really great. You're so good at going deep, but also having the laughing, and it's just everything. It's just great. So thank you for coming in and listening. Thank you, Carrie, for being on again. And you can find Carrie's lead magnet through your website,
Mhm.
through empoweringeducator.com. Yes. Okay, perfect. Okay, thank you so much.
Thanks, Joanne.